Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming in.
Sure.
Well, listen to this quote. Nobody knows nobody. Maybe nobody ever will. Those words were from famed Tuesdays with Morrie author and nationally acclaimed sports journalist Mitch Albom. He was writing about OJ Simpson and the beginning of the star's demise behind the wheel of that white Ford Bronco. Moments ago, I sat down with Mitch for a wide-ranging discussion on the fraught legacy behind OJ Simpson. Mitch, you've called the OJ case the most transforming American event in the 1990s. How so?
I think at the time, it changed America in many ways. First of all, it was one of the great racial divides that have now become quite common in our country. But back then, for the whole country to be talking about a single issue and then kind of dividing on race, I think was groundbreaking.
Yeah, you wrote that racially, OJ was a nuclear bomb. Recalling when that verdict came in and that split-screen reality across America when you had much of Black America cheering the not guilty verdict and much of white America baffled and even disgusted by that verdict.
Yeah. It's funny to look at it in hindsight now because I think there's a lot more uniformity on OJ Simpson if you were to go out and take a poll now than there was the day after that verdict happened. I think, the large percentage, I don't have this scientifically, but I think if you took a poll, you'd find that the large percentage of America, black and white, probably believed that he was guilty. But back then, people were dividing on lines of, well, this is my side or this is the side I'm supposed to be on. And a lot of his actions after that verdict, the book that he did or didn't write, the comments that he made, the interviews, I think made a lot of people change their mind. But it's a tragedy because, I wrote a lot about sports. I covered sports. That's, I still do it. And it was a major part of my career back then. And OJ Simpson was, he was the pinnacle. I mean, he was what every athlete wanted to be, a great sports career and a great post-sports career. And for him to go, from that position to that one day, the Bronco Chase and then the arrest and then, a whole different thing was also something that we hadn't seen that much of in America prior to that, the fall of an icon that huge.
Yeah, you wrote something that really, I thought, was almost poetic about that, about the infamous white Bronco chase. You said, quote, "It was the night the world went crazy right before our eyes, the strangest night on earth. A man in a truck who used to be a hero talking about killing himself as fans cheered his name just a block away, then finally being walked off in the evening darkness, put in a police car and taken away." It was a dramatic, I mean, we've never seen a fall like it.
No, we've seen a lot since, and it seems like sometimes we even hanker to see it. We seem to become a country that likes to knock people down once they become really big. But I think if you're going to read some of my old stuff from the 90s, the one thing that I remember that I wrote, that I'm glad that I wrote, and I think it was the day after maybe he was arrested or whatever, I wrote a sentence called, that read, "Nobody knows nobody," which is not grammatically correct, but is, idea-wise, in my mind, I still believe it. And it was a column about how you don't think you know people just because you see them on TV or you watch them in sports or they have a nice smile or whatever. Nobody knows what goes on in people's homes, their marriages, their personal life, and I still maintain that to this day. In fact, I think it's even more important today when we think we know everybody because they send out a few social media tweets, and we should never mistake just being in the news or being on a television screen or being on a movie screen for really knowing what a person is about in their heart.
So as somebody who's gifted with words, as you are, what would your one-sentence eulogy be on this day with this news that he is dead?
He lived the American hero's life, and he lived the American hero's life on both sides, the glorious and the tragic. And I think anybody who's as big as he became runs the risk of living on both sides of those tracks. If you stay up high, you're at the top of the mountain, but if you fall, there's a long way to fall. And I think he experienced both.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.